On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
We're now joined by Alan Richardson, the General Manager of Football Performance at the Demons. They're not in the best of form, but they come to Perth for a massive clash on Friday night. Alan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good to be here, Paul. G'day, Damien.
Now, did I see on the weekend you were back on the tools because of COVID? You had to step back in and be an assistant coach. How'd you enjoy that?
Well, it's not quite true. We had Jake Lever jump in, but he wasn't allowed to go out in the ground, unfortunately. It's just one of the AFL rules for a bloke who's still playing, even though he's injured. So the messages at quarter time and three-quarter time came from me, but we still had Troy Chaplin, who's our defensive coach, who was out with COVID on the phone, and we had Jake up in the box. He did a really good job, but given that we had 110 points kicked against us, I'm certainly not going to claim that I was the backline coach of the day.
How have you enjoyed the new role compared to coaching, of course, at St Kilda prior to that? The difference in the roles, of course, the pressure and the scrutiny on senior coaches these days seems to be through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty good period for us. We, from a performance perspective, so we haven't. Well, Goody hasn't had to wear a lot of heat there. In fact, it's been the opposite. There's been a little bit, as you know, with the ex-president moving on, and there was a bit of mud getting slung around, unfortunately, Goody's way, which was disappointing. But it's a different job, definitely. It's a real leadership role. It's making sure that people get what they need, and then you're going to make a call on resources and programming and staff and those sort of issues. But I'm really enjoying it.
At the start of the year, to be inside the top four with 4 games remaining, you'd be pretty happy with that, not too far off the top. But the last 10 rounds, you go 5-5. Something clearly isn't going as well as what it was early in the year. Have you identified specifically as a team what the problem areas are?
Yeah, and like always, Paul, and you know this obviously through your playing days, it's never one thing. It's a common. I reckon that we can own a bit of it ourselves in terms of, we've had pretty good leads in all of those games, including the one on the weekend, and haven't finished it off. So just mentally, we've got ourselves into a space that is not as ruthless as perhaps it was last year, and certainly is not as consistent. I would say the string of 3, Fremantle was one of those. In fact, that was the start, in Fremantle, Sydney, Collingwood. That was as much to do with the opposition. They did some stuff that was a little bit new to us, and it was about taking away some of our. That presented some challenges, but some really good learnings, and we get an opportunity against Fremantle again this week, and we're looking forward to it.
Alan, I'm not sure if you know, but I actually own a real estate company. Is it worthwhile giving Luke Jackson a call while he's out west and taking him for a little drive around?
Nah, you'd be wasting the phone call.
We'll leave it at that. Look, off the back of winning the premiership last year, obviously you're going to have a lot of coaches and a lot of people saying, what are they doing? How can we replicate it? How do you stay ahead of the pack?
Continue to improve is probably the simple approach from that we've taken. We've used the language that we're not trying to defend, because we don't need to defend last year's premiership. We've won it. That's there. That's there forever. This is a new challenge. It's a new opportunity. It'll be a new team. We'll have some changes to the team that won it last year. It's about looking to improve as an individual, and so players as early as pre-season were challenged in an inspirational way to become better players, and certainly for our team to improve. I mean, after as you pointed out before, Paul, we won the first 10. We lost 3 in a row, and even at that stage, we were +5 in terms of quarters won. There's some things that we really liked in terms of our method. So that's really been philosophically the attitude that we just want to continue to be as good as we can be, and strive to improve as a footy team.
You mentioned the word inspirational, and when you say that, I think of Max Gawn. How would you describe him as a captain?
Well, definitely that. He's an incredible leader when it comes to connecting with the people that he needs to lead, and footy clubs have incredibly intense people like Jack Viney and Stephen May, and they'll have the Ed Langdons and the Ben Browns of this world that are a little bit more relaxed, and he's able to inspire all. He's able to connect with all, irrespective of how many games they've played or how old they might be. So that's a real strength. And then there's the way he plays. I mean, he plays. He's a big man. He gets involved in big moments. When games are tight, they generally come down to contest, and Max is as good as I've seen in terms of winning contest, and he's as good on the ground as he is in the air. He's a bloody good footballer, just happens to be really tall, and so we play him in the ruck, but he's a special player.
His understudy is Luke Jackson. There's been a lot of talk about him over here in the West, but from a management point of view, you're still talking to him? Do you still believe there's a chance that he does stay in Melbourne?
Yeah, no, we are. Definitely. Yeah, he's a young fellow that has a lovely family that are over in Perth. We've met with them and his management team often. We're respecting the call that Jacko and the team, if you like, need as much time as they think is appropriate to make such an important decision, and we've been respectful of that. Would we like it to have been made earlier and a positive call for us? Of course we would, but we understand that that's the nature of the national competition, and really, I suppose the last couple of weeks have been to make sure that he's really comfortable that we know where all that sits, and that we just want him to focus on finishing off the year really strongly, and then he'll sit down and make that decision.
Where do you see him in 2 years on the field? Do you think he's more inclined to be a number one ruck star, or do you think he can continue to develop that forward craft?
It's a really interesting question. He's such a unique athlete. He's as good as I've seen in my time in the game below his knees for a player of his size. He's quite freakish, really. He's a terrific athlete. He's a very physical player. He's a really aggressive player. He's as good on the ground as he is in the air. In fact, he's probably still got a fair bit of work to do in terms of his aerial play and even his ruck craft. But the other part of ruck play, the follow-up, you've almost got an extra on-baller. So he's a special player. He'll continue to improve and grow because he just has a real growth mindset and a fantastic attitude to his training and his commitment to his craft. So, the sky's the limit for the big fella.
Did Jake Lever get through training, and is he likely to line up on Friday night?
Yeah, Jake will play. Yeah, no, he's pulled up really well. He was touch and go last week, Paul. So we had to hold him back really. So he's ready to go. Brownie's not. So Big Brownie will have another week. We just need to make sure that he's as good as he can be for the rest of our campaign. We're hoping it's a long one, and we're planning for that.
You'd have good memories coming to Optus Stadium, of course. Last time was it? Well, you might have been here early in the year, but of course, grand final day. You'll never forget that one. That would give the boys a bit of confidence leading into what's going to be a big month of footy.
Yeah, look, the team travels pretty well, no matter where we play. Perth is no exception. You're right. There's some fantastic memories, but this group does like getting on the road and connecting at a higher level. Our record on the road has been pretty impressive for a fair period now. So no, we're confident that we'll perform really strongly. We know we have to even be in the game against Freo. They've been in awesome form, so we're looking forward to the challenge.
And just a little more on Freo. Obviously, we go into them. There's only the two teams out west, so we spend a lot of our time talking about the Eagles and Dockers. What's the mindset over east about our West Australian teams?
Oh, look, certainly there's been much more talk from a finals-bound perspective around Fremantle. West Coast, as we know, have had enormous issues and had some challenges, and these are Simo's words. They're all as a footy club up to the fight. But for Freo, their template's really strong in terms of not only playing finals but being really competitive and potentially winning big finals. So they're very balanced, outstanding behind the ball, a real challenge in front of the ball, and probably as hard a running midfield group as there is. So with some enormous talent. So they're a really good group. We have no illusions about that.
Richo, we spoke about Luke Jackson, but Angus Brayshaw, another one at your club, yet to determine his future. Do you see a time in the future where we're a bit more transparent from our players to our clubs about their intentions maybe earlier in the season, and how would that sit in the current environment?
It's an interesting one. The Brayshaw one, that's really positive. I would imagine we'll make an announcement pretty shortly about that one. That's heading the way we'd like it to. But I don't know is the answer. I think culturally, our fans, I don't know how you would do it slowly. I don't know how you would do it in a way that they could get used to. They turn up. I'm talking probably more about the younger fans. They're turning up, supporting the player, and then early in the piece, he makes the call that he's going to be at another footy club. Yeah, I don't know. I'm only saying I'm unsure because we haven't seen it. I don't know how we'd react, and it culturally is not what we do in our code. Other codes have done it reasonably well, I presume. I'm sorry about that answer, but that's sort of where I sit with it. It's a difficult one.
No, we like it. Give us a better one on this one. Choco Williams, how have you enjoyed working with him, and do you think he could coach once again? His name always gets thrown up as a potential coaching option at a new club, but maybe not always seen as the one that's going to be the senior coach.
Yeah, no, Choco's been unbelievable for us, really. His energy and his passion is as good as I've ever seen. And when you consider he's not a young man anymore, he's 62 years of age. He was my old school teacher, so he and I, it's been a change in regard. I manage him now.
We'll have to get him on the show.
He don't like that. Yeah.
Has he ever gone,
No,
Alan, you were wrong. You were wrong, like he did when he won the premiership to Alan Scott over there at Port Adelaide.
Yeah, he only says that every day.
Do you still have to raise your hand to talk to him?
Oh, yeah. No, it's bloody hard to get a word in. But what he does for our players in terms of, I mentioned earlier about our attitude is to improve and grow and to turn our players, from good to great. And he's a big part of that. He drives that. He's the head of our development academy, which is fundamentally our younger group, but he has a lot to do with our senior players as well. And we're very lucky to have him. As for coaching, that's for other footy clubs to decide, but he's still got the rage, he's still got the energy. He's back in the system now with us and has an understanding of the way the game is played now, because it has changed dramatically in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So he's a ripper.
Richo, thanks for your time. Good luck on Friday night. We can't wait for this blockbuster.
Good on you, Paul. On you, Damien. All the best.